try this again. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It helps if I am not muted. All right. Yes, Sholin, embarrassing stories of failed romance. This should be a good one. Yeah, Mama, it really does help if you're not muted. Yes, I am a potato.
Ah, you have a potato counter. Very nice.
I do have a potato counter. And in truth, it's probably higher than what is listed here, but, you know.
We won't take it at face value.
We have so many, well, I shouldn't say a shit ton of stories, but we do have several stories. Some that were donated to us in our anonymous suggestion box, so we do not know who the submitter is. We also have a couple that I pulled from Reddit. I've got one personal story. Destiny, you said you had a couple as well?
Yeah, I've got 3, but that's obviously I could go on forever with my horrible dating stories, but we'll just do 3.
All right. Yeah, dating around here is a little hard, but I imagine where you're at, there's a lot to pick from, but I don't know about the quality.
Where I live, it's military guys. I live near like 3 different military bases, so it's just a bunch of military dudes that are trying to put a baby in you, and then hope that they get the American dream, I guess.
Wow.
Wow. So obviously, not things I want, because you know how I feel about kids.
Yeah.
Anti-baby.
I mean, maybe if they're older, that'd be okay, but
yeah, I could adopt a kid that's maybe like 10 plus, but no babies.
I'm sure there's plenty of kids up for adoption that are that age who would love a good home.
Absolutely. Who in chat wants me to adopt them?
There better not be anybody under the age of 18 in here, I swear to God.
Especially not for this podcast.
Right? Well, because I told you that one of my coworkers I told him that I streamed, and he asked for my name. He's like, "Oh, well, you're on Twitch?" He's like, "Oh, my kids watch Twitch. I should tune into your channel sometime." I'm like, "Don't have them watch this. No, 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 no."
Please, 18 plus only.
And Mama, you are not under the age of 18. Well, maybe mentally, but yeah, but I told him why. I'm like, I swear there's a lot of very adult content and suggestiveness as far as the conversation goes. I said it's not for kids. I said I actually kick kids out of my channel if I find out they're underage.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they act underage. There's some kids that are kind of on that border that I'm like, well, you're handling this all right as a mature adult would. You can stay.
I just kick them out.
You'll show yourself, Mama, stay in here. Don't be silly.
Stay.
Hey. All right. Well, should we share the first one from our suggestion box?
Yeah, why not? Let's start with that.
All right. So again, guys, we do not know who posted these, but the first one, I actually almost snorted coffee when reading. It says, shortly after beginning dating, I got taken to the home of a single mom. As we get out of the car, her 6-year-old daughter, who is riding a bicycle, says, "Look, Mom, no hands," and then face plants into the street. This person burst out laughing, and needless to say, things did not go well after that.
Oh, no.
I immediately thought LJ with that.
Yeah, that would absolutely be him.
Like, can you imagine, like, a first date, there's plenty of people who, they don't mind if the person already has a kid or not. It's very common nowadays, but, to have that reaction to their kid immediately when they get hurt, like, afterwards, it's okay to laugh. But in the moment,
like
not always.
Ha ha!
Yes, exactly. That was, okay, Sholin, congratulations.
Yeah, guys, if you want to admit to the story, if you want to say that that's mine, you can absolutely do that. Feel free. We just like to give people the option to submit the submissions anonymously.
Yeah, because I know for some people, they're just like, this was bad. I don't want anybody to know it's me. But yeah, to be honest, depending on the situation, I probably would have laughed as well, to be honest.
Same.
Because I'm a terrible person. Obviously, I'd be going over to make sure they're okay. But still. All right. You want to do the second one?
Sure. So, I want to preface this by saying that I have not been very adventurous in my dating due to the first couple relationships that I was in. And I won't discuss that on this podcast because that should be saved for therapy. But I'm going to start off with a pretty simple one. It's not like super crazy. I'm gonna save the craziest for last, obviously. So we're just gonna build up from there. This guy's name was Josh. I'm just gonna say that because the guys that I have stories about, their names are pretty basic, and anybody could have these names. So this date with Josh, this is my actual first and last actual only date that I've ever been on. Meaning they asked me out to a nice restaurant, and they planned to like do the whole wine dine. And it was something that was a strange concept to me because at that point it was after my first toxic relationship, the one that actually made me like go crazy. So this is like my first time going on a date. And I was like, what do I wear? How do I act? What do I say? I'm gonna embarrass myself, you know, the whole thing. But I was 21, still pretty young. I met this guy at a cosplay convention. Shut up, I know. When I was younger, I went and did a bunch of nerdy things. Now I just am sad. I'm a sad adult, and I just do adult things. But he was dressed as the Doctor from the Doctor Who series, and I was dressed as Rose. We didn't know each other. We were just dressed. We just happened to be dressed as the Doctor and Rose from Doctor Who. So naturally, we were drawn to each other because we knew who we were cosplaying as. And this dude, when I say he was tall, this man was 6'6", 6'7". I am a tall woman. I'm 5'10", so I had to look up at this man. And that was something very strange to me. He had dark hair. He's built like a lumberjack. Looked like he could throw me over his shoulder, take me back to your cabin vibes. He kind of looks like, I don't know if you guys know who David Harbour is, but he's on Stranger Things, and I think he played Hellboy. But he kind of looked like him, just without a beard and obviously younger. So he was cute. He was a cute guy. This was back when Facebook was like super popular. So obviously I was on Facebook, and he somehow ended up finding me through Facebook, through like a tagged group cosplay photo, where you know how people would tag you back then and do all that kind of stuff. And then he just messaged me on the blue and was like, hey, I know this is really forward, but do you want to go on a date? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm being asked out on a date? Like my last relationship, we didn't even go on dates. Like it was just, hanging out at the house. So I was like really taken back. I was like, yeah, I would love to. Of course, I was both nervous and ecstatic because this would have been my first ever date. So I'm obviously gonna go overboard. We agreed on this, and I use Italian loosely, this Italian place. This place had terrible Italian food, by the way. Think Olive Garden, but more expensive, and no breadsticks. No bread at all.
Wait.
What kind of Italian restaurant does not serve bread?
I was about to say that, or even with it, come on.
That's the best part. Anyways, I digress. Why did I agree? Because he suggested it, and I didn't want to seem like a picky, stuck-up asshole, so I just went along with it. That's how I am. If somebody suggests it, I'm like, all right, yeah, sure, why not? Anyways, we agreed on 7 p.m. So 7 p.m., we meet there. I get all dressed up. Mel, when I tell you I was dressed to the nines, I was looking spicy. I'm talking heels, a black midi dress with a slit up the side.
Whoa. I'm still stuck on heels on you.
I know. I was like 6. Well, he was 6'6", 6'7". So height really wasn't an issue at that point because it's like, okay, I'm not going to tower over this man, so I should be fine. Even though in heels, I'm reaching about 6'1", 6'2". Anyways, so I was looking fresh. I was feeling myself. I was like, all right, this is my first date. I'm looking good. I'm smelling good. I put my best perfume on. And if you know who I am very much an on-time person. So I arrived 5 minutes early and just sat in my car for an anxious 5 minutes waiting to go in. And then I was like, I'm going to wait 5 extra minutes so I don't seem too eager, You ever have that situation where you're like, I don't want to seem like I'm too eager to be here, but also
fashionably
I'm on time.
Late.
Yeah. But only 5 minutes, so everything's fine. So before I go in, I texted him to see if he was already sat down, and he texted me back 5 minutes later and said he was on the way and would be there soon. Great. Awesome. I'll grab a table, get me a drink to shake off the nerves, and we'll be good. I order me a sangria and scroll through my phone, and 30 minutes pass, and I start looking at the sad woman whose date stood her up, because there was the whole 2 sets thing. So there was 2 glasses, 2 plates, 2 sets of silverware at the table, but I'm the only one sitting there with a glass of sangria. So that was embarrassing. I was feeling more and more like flustered as I was sitting there by myself looking very sad. I don't want to talk about it anyways. I texted him after that 30-minute period. And I was like, hey, don't text and drive, but when it's safe, do you have an ETA as to when you'll be here? 10 minutes pass, and he responds, I'm not too far now. Traffic is just bad. I'm so sorry. He was apologetic. That's nice. I can get it. Traffic happens. I didn't want to seem like a pushy person, so I just continue to wait patiently.
Right. You don't want to give a bad first impression by being pushy before he even gets there.
Right. 8:30 comes. We were supposed to meet at 7 o'clock. I've drank 3 glasses of sangria. So in the hour and a half I was there, I've gone through 3 glasses of sangria. No bread. I'm still going to put that out there. There's no bread. I'm ready to pay my tab. And just when I'm about to call and flag down the waitress, he finally walks in through the door. After an hour and a half. This guy is wearing an old, raggedy, holey t-shirt and worn jeans. And then some sneakers that looks like he had just mown the lawn right before he came here.
Did he smell the sweat too? I
honestly didn't. I don't remember his smell, but I'm pretty sure he probably smelled like, sweat. I mean, if we had met at a Taco Bell, I wouldn't have really cared about what he was wearing, but we were sitting in a restaurant with white tablecloths. I just feel like...
At least put a polo on with your jeans, I mean.
Right, like, jeans are fine. It was just, you literally could see holes in his t-shirt that he had worn in. It obviously looked like it had been through a war, if I'm to be honest. Anyways, when he sat down, it was nice. He was very apologetic. I'm so sorry. But that's an hour and a half of my very valuable time that he just wasted. So I already knew this date wasn't going to continue with anything or any time past this date. So I just kind of like enjoyed it while I could. I talked with him. We smiled. We pushed through the night. Had some basic convo. It was kind of boring, to be honest. Just a lot of like, what shows do you like? What kind of music do you like? I hate small talk. So he would ask questions like those, like, what's your favorite color? Things like that. And then, whereas I would chime in with my questions because I am who I am, and I would say, would you bang an alien if they swarm the Earth? And he didn't seem to...
He didn't like the Destiny humor?
He didn't like that.
Yeah, T says that he blew all his cash on cosplay.
Probably. He actually paid for the meal. If I recall, this was like 9-ish years ago.
Okay, so he gets some extra credit for that.
Yeah, he did pay for the meal, even though I insisted, because I'm that kind of person where I'm like, no, let me pay for my end. I'm good. Like, don't pay for me, because I know how men are. Most men, not all men. Hashtag not all men. But I like paying for myself. But I think he did pay for me, if I do recall correctly, which is deserved because he was an hour and a half late. But yeah, we finish up our food, we go to leave, and he starts putting on like the eyes, and he looks at me and he's like, do you want to come back to my place? And I feel bad. But I laughed. I laughed in the parking lot of this shitty Italian restaurant, and I didn't say anything else, and I just walked to my car in a hurried pace. And I never saw this dude again, and I hope it stays that way. But I can't believe the dude had the audacity to be like, yeah, you want to come back to my place after I just made you wait an hour and a half? Actually, no, because if I have to drive back to your house, I'm assuming it's an hour and a half away because of how long it took you to get here.
Right?
But that's the first one. Like I said, that one was pretty tame. That sticks out when I think of a bad date, because I'm like, why did I wait an hour and a half? What is wrong? Like, I wouldn't wait an hour and a half anymore.
Right?
Current Destiny would not. I would give you 15 minutes. If you're not there, I'm gone. I got things I gotta
I'm a
do.
little more forgiving. I would give like 20 to 30 tops. But I mean, and that's just because the busy lifestyle I have now, like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
But back then, I probably would have waited as well, because I mean, I wasn't as busy as I was now. I had more free time. Still would have preferred to probably end up doing something else, but then waiting around awkwardly at a restaurant.
Yeah, hour and a half of that day that was wasted, but it's fine,
T says next year he went to the cosplay as Chewie to hide his shame.
Maybe.
Sounds accurate.
The things I put up with for a cute boy, I'll tell you what.
No comment. Anyway, so our next submission to our suggestion box says, so when your hopeless coworker begs you to go on a double date with them because the girl he's after wants to hook her girlfriend up. So you go out and you find that you're a much better girl to the one your friend wants, and
Oh no.
and she wants to hook up with you. And nobody wants to be with the guy who talked you into this, and the whole thing ended up being a waste.
That's heartbreaking.
Could you imagine going on a double date with your coworker and being set up on a blind date, basically, and find out that the coworker's girl that he's after really wants you?
Oh my gosh.
Talk about making things awkward at work after that.
Yeah, that's strange.
I can do the submissions were pretty short. So let me do another one. Being that it is almost Halloween, so this one was from Halloween, no clue when, but you end up going to the Halloween party at somebody's house as Brandon Lee from The Crow. And a cute girl is all flirty with you and everything, getting handsy. I'm assuming it's not mentioned, but I'm assuming that there's drink and alcohol involved.
Yeah, probably.
Until the makeup starts coming off, and then your furniture.
Oh no.
Meaning like, oh, your makeup's coming off, I don't want anything to do with you anymore.
Oh no.
That's got to be really disheartening. Like, come on, you know it's makeup on the face.
Right, sad Ree.
I know, very, very sad Ree. And T is just being full of himself.
I see. Do you want me to do another one?
Yeah, do another one. We have one more. Well, no, sorry, take that back. We have 2 more submissions to our suggestion box.
All right, so this next one, his name was John. So the last one's Josh. This is John. I'm telling you, these names are very basic. Could literally be anybody. So this was a friends with benefits situation. Unfortunately, this poor lad was my experiment of sorts. It sounds cruel, but hear me out. So I met him at a friend's house when she was throwing a birthday shindig. Everyone is drinking, they're eating, getting high, having a good time, you know. I'm drinking responsibly because I know I'm driving home, and I'm personally not a fan of staying the night somewhere else, even if it's offered. Like, they're like, oh, if you drink, just stay here. No, absolutely not. I want to be in my own bed. So after a couple hours, I must have caught the attention of one extremely high guy who would not pick up on physical cues. I don't remember his name, so we're just going to call him Frank. Frank sat down beside me while I had like a mouthful of pizza in my mouth. I stopped mid-chew to look over at him because when I say he sat right beside me, his hip was against mine. He literally sat right against my body.
Talk about awkward timing.
And I am a big fan of personal space, and I get very irritated if somebody breaks that bubble. So I scooted away some. I was very obvious about it, kind of like irritated, like did a little scoot just to get away from him a little bit. And this dude starts with the whole, hey, lil' mama, I'm not usually this forward, but... And then he just went to compliment me and tried to strike up a conversation. And, like, I'm not confrontational, so I'll go along with it. It's fine. But he had interrupted the conversation I was having with my friend and just made things extremely awkward because she's now just standing, staring at me and watching this man literally only talk to me and nobody else. And I'm trying to talk to my friend. So it's just this weird, like, I don't know what to do with your friend here. The second Frank gets up to go and have a smoke, John, the one that I'm talking about, sits down beside me. Now, I'd seen John around the party. He seemed chill. He looked younger than me, but I couldn't gauge how young. But you can tell he was in his early 20s. If I had to paint a picture for what he looks like an off-brand version of Michael Cera, just shorter and has beadier eyes. So I don't know if that paints a picture, but there you go. Not a bad-looking dude, just typically not my type. But again, not bad looking. He strikes up a convo with me next, so I got rid of one guy, and then now I got this guy. It's relaxed, though. He doesn't make me feel uncomfortable like the other guy did, so his presence is obviously welcoming. But at one point, he has to go to the bathroom, and the second he gets up, Frank plops back down and starts getting a little more aggressive with his flirting. I think it's because he saw the Michael Cera lookalike chat me up, so he was trying to get more aggressive with his tactics. But at this point, I was getting uncomfy and it was getting late. And by late, I mean 10 p.m. because I'm an old lady. And I just wanted to go home. So I said goodbye to my birthday friend. And before I could leave, John jogs up to me and he asked me if I need help walking back to my car. How polite. How thoughtful. Have you ever had a man escort you to your car for safety reasons?
It's been a while, but yes.
Long time, right? You don't get it often. It's my car's parked down the street, but I assured him, I was like, it's fine. It's right there. My car's like right down the street right here. And then he just comes in for a hug. And I was like kind of put off. Like I was like, whoa. But
Personal bubble.
But again, like my friends are typically huggers. So I'm kind of used to it. I just kind of like give him a tiny little pat on the back and then move on my way. It's fine. You know, some people are huggers. It's okay. Anyways, I go home and resume my life, intending not to think about that night again. And then this dude somehow, again, with Facebook, finds me on Facebook and messages me. Mind you, I did not tell him what my last name was. And he also did not know how I spelled my name. Because typically people spell my name with a Y. Destiny with a Y. We had no mutual friends in common. He wasn't even friends with the birthday friend on Facebook. But he somehow was able to go into her Facebook and look through her friends and find me through her friends list.
Can you imagine how long he sat there looking through all this?
I don't want to think about it. That was the first red flag, though. That immediately, I was like, how the fuck did you find me? Like, how did that happen? But anyway, he messages me, and it reads as follows. Yes, I'm literally reading the text, like, right now. He goes, hey, I just know it's probably super weird, but I don't even have birthday girl's number. So I was just thinking about the other night and how weird it got for a little while with the guy who kept trying to talk to you. And I wanted to say that I didn't get to talk to you enough, I thought. So never mind the fact that he found me out of nowhere. I continued talking to him because he was nice. While the hug at the end was weird. You know, why not? Like I said, he wasn't terrible looking. And he was just a nice dude. He just seemed to want some company. But he asked if I wanted to hang out and gave me his number. I was like, why not? Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm kind of bored. So why not try something new? I decided to suggest that we go to one of my favorite hole-in-the-wall bars. It's like an old, God, it's literally, think of like an old jukebox. Everything's wood panels. All of them, there's old men in there that go there just to get away from their wives.
So 90% of the bars in northern Wisconsin. Got it.
Yeah. But here, typically the bars are like super poppy and like modern and have a bunch of like young girls in tiny dresses and stuff. This is like the opposite. This is just normal. You're just going there for drinks and that's it. I could tell he was uncomfortable with that bar, which kind of like, for me, those kind of bars are comfy for me because I don't have to worry about men hitting on me. It's just old dudes that are like, I'm just trying to get away from my wife for like an hour.
Yeah, I just want a couple of drinks, you know, had a bad day. I don't want to be in the house because the wife's being a bitch.
And, but you can tell he was kind of looking around. He was like, people can smoke in here? I was like, yeah, they don't care. It is what it is. Does that make you feel uncomfortable? And he was like, no, not really. I don't think I've ever been a bar where they just blatantly smoke out here. I was like, yep, here it is. You found one.
He wouldn't have liked that in Wisconsin because, I mean, even up until a year or two after college, you could still smoke in the bars up here.
Right. So the biggest thing, the reason why I brought him there mostly also was because I know the bartender, and she's actually a good friend of mine. And I messaged her before we went there. I was like, hey, I'm bringing this guy with me. I don't think it's like a relationship situation. I think it's just gonna be friends with benefits. And I just kind of want you to gauge, like, do you think he's right for me? Because I like to know what other people think about like our chemistries and stuff. Do they sense that we're compatible? So I was like, just give me like an idea, like just watch us from the distance and then text me after we leave and just let me know, like, do you think we would vibe? And she was like, oh girl, I got you. So we meet, we talk, he starts showing physical interest in me, which is, you know, normal when you go out with somebody who has asked you out. I'm picking up on the physical cues, meaning he keeps staring at my lips a lot. That's typically my first indicator, is when their eyes continue to flicker down to my lips. I'm like, listen, whoa, sir, eyes are up here.
See,
Oh,
normally their eyes are going further down than that, but
I know. Unfortunately, I'm not very endowed there. So there's not much to look at. But he's definitely looking at my mouth, I'll tell you that. But I wanted to make sure I put that out there. I was like, hey, and I had already texted him this as well in the conversation. I was like, hey, I'm not really looking for anything serious. I just want to make sure that you're aware of this. I am literally just looking at this as a potential friends with benefit situation. And he said, yeah, me too. That's great. Cause like, I'm not looking for a relationship either. So cool. We're on the same page. This is great. So when we met and he was looking at my lips a lot, I was like, hey, I just want to remind you, like, this is just a friendship thing, right? And he was like, yeah, no, totally. I get that. Cool. Glad. Okay. Just reminding you. We do our thing. After that meeting, obviously, I'm not going to give you the details in between. You know, we're intimate. We're doing things. We continue to meet up every now and then. We get drinks or food, or we go to an amusement park or carnival. Just a lot of like different things I would do with my normal friends. And I'm keeping the conversations pretty neutral. If he starts talking about like future, I'm like, cool, that's awesome, man. If he starts talking about kids, I'm like, awkward. I don't want kids. So it does not work for me.
does not compute.
Right. I make sure, I always tell whoever I'm dating, I'm not interested in kids. And a lot of times that weeds out a lot of people because I just, they want the whole marriage thing here. They want the marriage and kids and Labrador Retriever kind of image. So anyways, the more I get to know this guy, the more I can tell he's way too young for me. And by that, I mean, he has no idea what he wants to do or where he wants to live or just what direction he wants to go in. He's so lost. He doesn't know whether he wants to go to college or if he's considering doing military or if he wants to leave his current job. He's even talking about trying to move back to Colorado. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, well, that solidifies definitely not doing anything with this kid because you got a lot going on and I can't deal with that. That's why I typically go for older men because, they got their shit together. They know what they want to do.
Right.
But just all over the place. But at that point, I was like thankful that I dodged a bullet by telling him up front, hey, not interested. Just reminding you. And after that point, after that initial meeting at that bar, and then all of the dates that passed, I'd say we went on about 4 or 5 dates after that point. But my papa passed away, and then I obviously was a little less responsive to him. And when I stopped messaging him as often, that's when he started getting very upset. He was messaging me like, what did I do wrong? Are you okay? Did I do something wrong? What's going on? Are you hurt? What did I say to you? Just those like, and he would message after message after message. I mean, nonstop messages. It was very overwhelming for somebody that enjoys her space.
Yeah.
I was quickly becoming smothered. So eventually I messaged him back. I messaged him back as like the final straw after he literally called me 5 times and messaged over 20. I'm trying to count like a vague number scrolling through here. He called 5 times. I missed 5 calls, and then he had over 20 text messages he sent me while I was sleeping. And I woke up the next morning and I just went off on this kid. I said, man, I told you in the very beginning that I'm not interested in any kind of relationship with you. And you must be attaching yourself even when I told you not to. So that fault does not fall on me. I was very upfront. I was very professional about it. It was very much like putting in your 2-week resignation. It was just very formal. And this boy blew up. Oh my God. When I tell you this man continued to text message me and go, I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. Please don't
Don't hate me.
reject me. Yeah, basically. So basically, I continued messaging him. I was like, listen, man, I'm not trying to like tell you, how to live your life. But when you message me 20 times for not responding to you, when I explained to you that my grandpa just recently passed away, and my mom is taking it very difficultly or difficult, whatever. And you continue to attack me with a bunch of messages and calls. I don't like that. So I wouldn't even accept that from a friend.
Yeah, because I mean, I even consider myself like back when I was dating people, I'd like to message back and forth casually throughout the day. Even, a couple hours might go by between responses, but, if somebody didn't answer, it's like, okay, they got shit going on. I could leave it sit for a couple of days before messaging them again and make sure that they're okay. So
Right.
and you normally hear about the shoe being on the other foot, where it's the woman who is constantly pestering the guy.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely, the script had flipped. This guy was really young too. He was only 21. I was 27. I think I was about to turn 28. So this wasn't too long ago. This was like 2 years ago. But yeah, he was a lot younger than I'm used to. I'm used to older guys who kind of know what they are doing with their lives. So this is just, like I said, I was very smart at the beginning by telling him I'm not interested in a relationship with you. And I had the receipts to prove it. So I could be like, do you remember this message? And I screenshot it and send it back to him. Like, you said you also were not looking for a relationship. But after I told him all this, and I was like, listen, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think we should hang out anymore if you're kind of catching these kind of feelings. And I've expressed to you that I'm not interested. And he would, I feel like you guys heard the back end of it. This is before I started streaming, I think. But he would actually show up at my house.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember me telling you about this?
Yeah, this was back when, we had just kind of met.
Mm-hmm.
Very recently.
Conan times. Yep.
Yeah, the beginning of the Conan times.
Yep. So he would actually park outside of my house, and I knew his car. So he would park outside of my house, and like sometimes I would glance out my window, I would see his car out there, and the second that I would turn on my porch light, he would drive off. Which is just super creepy. What the fuck are you doing that? And he did that a couple times, but before I could actually get like police out there, he was gone. And I never was able to get the license plate in time because it's always like in the middle of the night and my street's not all that well lit. So the only thing I can give them is like the vague description of the car and then who it was, but they're like, well, we can't guarantee who it is. We can't just put blame on somebody. I was like, I get that. Still.
It's that whole having evidence thing.
Right. So after that, like he did it like 3 times, and I messaged him. I said, dude, if I find you on my fucking at my fucking street one more time, I hope I just want to let you know I have an entire safe of my dad's guns, and I'm talking it's filled with ammo and guns because this is America. And if you come back on my property, if you come back and park in that street, I'm shooting your windows out. And he never showed up again.
Good.
So,
yeah, I almost forgot all about Creepy Stalker Dude.
I don't want to... like
I don't want to remember him, but I can't forget.
What did he think he was doing by just showing up on the at my house in his car? Would you think I was going to talk to you? Really?
I have no idea what some of these people think when they do these things. Like, I try to put myself in the other person's shoes, but like I can't. Like, I can't think what would possess somebody to do that.
Right. And Myth does say it right. Like, friends with benefits, if you have a friends with benefits situation or even an open relationship, you've got to be so communicative. Like, that's why I try to communicate that in the very beginning. Like, hey, like, I don't mean to, make you upset or anything, but I'm not interested in a relationship. I'm just interested in friends with benefits. And that way you guys can keep an open line of communication. But this kid, something tells me that maybe I was like one of his first anythings, if you catch my drift. Like maybe he was a virgin before he was with me. And he just kind of got clingy. That's the kind of vibes I got.
Yeah, it could be.
But I don't know. That was John. That was my story on John.
Well,
and believe it or not, that's not the worst one. So
oh god,
I'm saving that one for last.
It makes Cookie think of the Weird Al song "Do I Creep You Out." Haven't heard that one, to be honest, but I can only imagine being from Weird Al. Well, speaking of one night stands or friends with benefits, our next submission had a one night stand and met up at his apartment. So I'm assuming traditional relationship from the way everything is written out. So I'll just say she. If I'm mistaken, I do apologize. They watched Night at the Roxbury together, and they had protected sex, only to have the guy leave the condom inside of her because he got them a size too big, and it's left off with #YouAreNotAMagnum.
Oh,
Like, okay, it's
Oh my
one thing,
God.
guys, to talk up the size of your dick. You know, it's a typical male thing to do. I expect it. I'm used to it. Because I will talk it down as well, even if I've never seen it. But when you are doing that act with another person, wear something appropriate.
Well,
Because
and
it
also
leads
kind
into
of-
safety issues.
Right, that and safety, health, and potential baby issues. I'd be pissed.
Yeah, STDs, STIs, possible pregnancy, you know. Just be safe. Talk up your dick size all you want. I don't care. Just wear something appropriate if you're going to have protected sex. Like, be realistic here.
It's honestly not worth you. You're going to a gas station getting condoms, and the worst you'll have to deal with is the cashier who really does not care what your dick size is. They're just trying to ring up their shit and get you out so that way they can pretend to disassociate at work.
Right. Unless you were like me and at the age of 17 and you really didn't even know what the other sex's anatomy looked like. I mean, I was very, very sheltered and mostly by my own want anyway. And two guys came up to the express lane where I was working at the grocery store, and they wanted some condoms. And as habit, I'm like, have a great night, guys. And they just turned back and like, oh, we will. And I just turned beet red. They started laughing at me as they walked off.
Oh my.
Yeah. All right, so we'll go to our last submission. This submission comes from... This was a suggestion box, not the Reddit ones I have. So... from the suggestion box, all right, so back when I was dating, I went on a date with Rick and one of my friends, Tina, and her date, Bill, with us. We were too young to drive yet, so Rick's older brother, Bob, drove the family station wagon. He drove us to some hill in a clearing that would later be one day's home, but there was no construction started on it yet, and it was just a clearing. Bob got out of the car, opened up the back, and started eating a bag of potato chips, crunching away with gusto and telling us not to mind him. So, Bill tried to get some serious kissing going on with Tina, but Tina got the giggles. Rick went straight for the neck and tried to get my bra off, but I was not going to let that happen. Due to Tina's giggles, I started to giggle as well. But we totally lost it when Bob got a golf club out of the car and started hitting rocks down the hill, complete with quiet commentary as you would hear on TV. Needless to say, no one got anywhere that night. I do remember that at one point, Tina was sitting in the open window of the car as Bill was rather persistent in trying to get his hands both under her bra and into her pants.
Jesus.
Oh my goodness. All right. So that is the last of the submissions that we have from our suggestion box. Now, I do have one. I only have really one bad dating story. I mean, I've had some that were kind of awkward. Got blocked by a bag of potato chips and golf. Yeah. I only have one bad dating story. Like, I've had other dates that just ended up being kind of awkward or nothing ever happened from it. But, so I was on a couple of dating sites. Obviously, this is before Ferret. There was one guy I got talking to. He seemed really kind of interesting, and you know, I'm one that really likes to learn about other religions and everything. So there was this guy that was a Satanist. So at first I'm like, there's your typical stereotype of Satanist. I'm like, okay, so he's into devil worship? And at the time, I really hadn't looked into what it was. So he had told me some things that I ended up looking up later, where it's kind of like the worship of the self, you know, and everything else, which, you know, some branches of it that corroborates, you know, that makes sense and matches up. But he kept going on and on about my name Mel being very popular in satanic culture. Including the fact that it is probably as popular as the name of Lilith.
Huh.
I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So I don't know if I should take that as flattering or what.
Right.
But I mean, he would ask questions about me and I'd ask questions about him. I mean, the typical thing, you know, what other things are you into? But I mean, like, he was so into the satanic thing. Like, we would talk for a while on it, and I found the conversation interesting, but like, no, there was no spark, there was none of that. Now, the guy wants to actually go out on a date. So he lives about an hour away, which at the time, living up north, that was one of the main little hubs at the mall there because we really didn't have anything where I lived. So I'm like, okay, well, why not? I wasn't feeling that comfortable though. So I had a friend go with me. And so we go to the mall, and I let him know that my friend was going to be with me that day. And we decided to meet at the bookstore at the mall. And so we did, and we're in there. And the guy comes in. He's kind of got, the shaggy, like sandy blonde hair. So where it's kind of long on the sides, but it doesn't really go past the ears at all. He's a little bit lanky, but more like average build, average height. I think we were actually the same height. I'm about 5'5", so he was maybe 5'6", 5'7", except for the fact that he was wearing stilettos.
Oh, no.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, he also had a trench coat on and a fedora.
Wait, was it like super goth, though? Was it like a style?
No. I mean, they weren't even like goth boots. He had like jeans and a t-shirt on with the trench coat on over that. And a fedora. No goth makeup. I fully expected like the Trap jeans, band t-shirt.
Oh my God.
Trip. I still have a pair of Trip pants. If I can get a little more weight off, I can probably fit into them again. I love them. But but the Trip, I was expecting, Trip pants, maybe some flat lace-up boots for the guys, a band t-shirt or something. Maybe a little bit of goth eye makeup, and I would have been okay with that, But no, like, I wasn't even wearing heels, and I normally would wear heeled boots. And I took one look at him, and we talked for a minute and everything. I said, okay, I'm going to go check in with my friend. And she had taken a look at him from around the corner. She's like, honey, no, we need to get out of here now. So we make up the excuse that there's an emergency back at home with her husband, and we have to go now. So did that, blocked him on the dating site, and blocked him on my phone, and never spoke to him again. Like, what the fuck?
I feel like that's something that does need to be, like, put out there. If it's something super strange and unusual, and I mean, like, obviously, men can wear what they want. Men can wear, if they like stilettos, they can wear stilettos. But, if they expect to go on a date, let's say that I was into wearing a baby outfit, like dressing up as a baby.
Like diaper and all?
Yes. So let's say that I was into something like that, and I just showed up on a date and they heard the crinkling of my diaper. Do you think that it would have been a lot more polite to be like, hey, so just so in case it weirds you out, I do wear this kind of stuff, and if it freaks you out, I totally understand. I just want to make sure you're aware, and it's absolutely fine. Like I said, we don't kink shame or anything here, but I feel like something like that, you especially in the Midwest, because you live in the Midwest.
Yeah, and this is northern Wisconsin, so I mean, very conservative. Like, I can't even really tell people what my religion is, for the fact that I'm afraid I'll be treated differently. Kind of conservative.
Yeah.
So for something like that was extremely over the top. Like, what the fuck? And yeah. Like you said, I'm okay if guys want to wear that kind of stuff and everything too. I mean, it's not what I would want my guy to wear, but if that's what he feels comfortable in, cool. But
it's just not something you're used to. Like, obviously I'm in a lot of the drag stuff, so I see a lot of people wear all sorts of different things. I go to so many different pride parades where everybody's wearing heels for the most part. It's just, It is what it is. But, when you're in the Midwest in a super conservative town, it's probably something you should mention and be like, hey, listen, this is just my style. If it's not up your alley, then that's okay.
Well, right. I would prefer that because, I mean, like, I'll dress up and I'll look nice, I mean, now I've got a couple of skirts, but I mean, for a good 10-year stretch, I didn't own even any skirts unless it belonged to my medieval combat stuff. But like, I'll still dress up, with the heeled boots, and I get the wide heel, man. I will freaking kill myself on traditional heels. And I'm more of a tomboy, but I'm not gonna sit there and dress up in a t-shirt and jeans to go out on a date.
Listen, don't tell me that. I was just triggered by telling you guys about the Josh story where he came in to a nice restaurant with jeans that were all ripped up and a holy t-shirt with stains on it. So.
But like even being a tomboy, I'm not going to dress up like that for a date. I'm going to wear something appropriate to the situation. Now, let's say you're a couple dates in and you want to go someplace casual where you guys are just wearing t-shirts and jeans. That's different. That's okay. But like if it's a first date, first time meeting in person, and you want to give a good impression, stilettos on a guy does not give a good impression. Now, if you swing for the other team, which is completely okay, and I encourage it for those who are inclined to, do it. But
it would have been a fun outfit if you guys went to a drag me to brunch or something like that.
Oh, if we had like a drag me to brunch or something, I wouldn't have fucking guessed it.
Right. It would have been like a very normal thing. Like, it's not something that we're like, whoa, men can't wear heels. It's more like, whoa, we weren't prepared to encounter this, and now I'm thrown off. That kind of situation.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to give you another idea about the area I live in, even though same-sex marriages are legal now, it is still very difficult for people to come out of the closet, even as bisexual, which is very sad and unfortunate.
Yeah.
So I mean that kind of puts it into perspective a little bit more on just like how shocking that was for me. So Sholin did add something else up here. He was dating a girl who lived in SF Cali, so Southern or San Francisco, California, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Invited him to a big party. Go up for the weekend, and the party was like a B party post for the gay parade. And went from very confident to very nervous in about 2 minutes flat. Needless to say, I didn't stray far from her side that whole night.
Wait, so you went to a gay parade? Is that what I'm understanding? I love gay parades. I love gay parades all the time. We have so many here.
I'm guessing it was a gay pride party. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sholin, but I'm guessing it was like a gay pride party, but you weren't told that that's the situation you were going to walk into.
Interesting.
Like, if you were told ahead of time that's what you were going to be going to, you could be a little more mentally prepared for what you were about to see.
Unless you are also already LGBT, then it's just like a double surprise. Like, ooh!
Was the gay parade back then. Gotcha. Mama also posted another one. And I remember her telling me this story. We had a good giggle about it. So after, so my parents separated back when I was in junior high, and that's how I ended up moving up to Wisconsin for high school. So Mom waited until after us kids were out of high school to even attempt or think about dating again. So, and I told you, 90% of the bars up here are like hole in the wall, wood paneling, everything. All right. So she showed up for a date that she set up through a dating site. They met at a pub close to her home. She knew the bartender there, and he said that he'd watch out for her, which, awesome. I only had one bartender like that to when I frequented, and he saved me from another Satanist. I'll tell you that story in a minute. It wasn't a date, though. It was just a creepy encounter at a bar. Anyway.
Mel attracts Satanists. Confirmed.
Apparently I do. But the dude showed up wearing his wedding band.
Oh.
And which prompted Mom to leave immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I remember the story right, like she leaves immediately, but the bartender looked at her leading. Mom points to her finger, and I'm assuming like her ring finger of the marriage hand. And as she's walking out the door, bartender says, "Dude, never show up wearing your wedding ring." And I guess she laughed the whole way home.
That's crazy. You got to think about those things.
Yeah. So my chance encounter with the guy, the other Satanist. So this guy must have been double my age, and I'm sitting.
Actual daddy status. Okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, age differences usually, they don't mean much to me. Because I have a friend who's married to a guy who's 20 years older than her, and, they're a perfect couple. So what works for them? Me, I prefer somebody closer to my age range. But, so I'm down in this bar that night, and I didn't go with any friends that night. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And for anybody up north, it was Fight Gallery. Not its real name, but close enough. And this is one that was the popular one because they had a little dance floor area. They'd have a DJ in there every Friday night. And I was there enough that the bouncer actually knew me. And he's actually the one who's 20 years older than my friend who he married.
Oh.
Yeah. But he knew me and he'd keep an eye on me. So I had this really weird guy. Like, he had like long brown shaggy hair. It wasn't put back or anything. It looks like it hadn't been washed in weeks. Raggy kind of clothing. I mean, it looks like
This boy's been marinating in his own filth.
Yeah, I think it's like he lived out in the woods for a week and came out kind of thing. Like, I didn't really... I noticed an odd odor from him, but it wasn't like the stench of BO or anything. You know, it's like he had smoked way too much weed or something. And then just kind of sat in it for several days, so it got stale. Yeah. And he had a little paper bag with some booze in it, which you're not supposed to bring in with you to another bar. He starts talking.
You're going to a bar, sir. Why are you bringing alcohol to a bar?
Yeah. So he sits down next to me, and we exchange the typical, hi, how you doing? You know, no big deal. And then he immediately starts in with, I'm here for 2 reasons tonight. 1, to get drunk, which I have already accomplished. Well, good on you, buddy. You're at a bar. And 2, to meet my maker. I need to meet Satan. Do you know how I can get a hold of him? I kid you not.
I literally would have given him the help, like a therapist helpline or something.
And I just look at him like, sorry, I don't. That's not my maker. Sorry.
My apologies. Sorry. I don't believe Satan's available today. I might be able to give you an appointment for next week if you have the time.
Nowadays, I probably would come back with something witty like that. But I mean, this was probably 2007 or 2008, and I was not that witty back then at all. So I excuse myself and I start to walk away a little bit, but he immediately gets up and starts following me, continuing to ask me. And I back up probably a good 20, 30 feet until I notice that my back hit a wall and I am now cornered.
Oh, hell no. My fight responses would be
It was starting to kick in until the bartender that was looking out for me came over, put himself between me and the creepy dude and told him to get the fuck out. I left the bar later and he's at a payphone, one of the few left in town, trying to call somebody, and I just walked past him really fast to my car and got the hell out.
Yeah, that's like I said, that hole in the wall bar that I go to, I know that chick's absolutely, she's built like a tank. She will literally beat the shit out of somebody if that ever happened to me. So I love our bartenders that are just looking out for us.
Oh, yeah, I love them too. The bartenders, the bouncers, you know, they are there to make sure everybody's having a good time. And typically, if they see something like that going on, they will step in. Because they know how quickly things can go from 0 to 100 at these places, and they want to avoid it. Looks like Myth added one to the chat, too. Do you want to read that one out?
1 second, the dogs are barking. If you want to go ahead and read it.
All right, so Myth says, I got asked on a date once by someone I'd been crushing on for a few weeks. She was very specific about going to Frankie and Bernie's, and the entire time she was looking over my shoulder. Turns out she invited me so she could be there and stalk on her ex during the date.
Oh my god.
All right, well, I guess that answers Dave's question. Is like, do we find ladies find dates more awkward than men? I'm going to say that it's about a horse apiece based on that evidence. There is a reason that small bars exist, and this is it. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you've got a small bar that you frequent, the people get to know you, you get to know them, and then if some shit tries to hit the fan, they step in for you.
Yeah, that's always really nice. That's why I typically try to bring my dates to that bar, so that way there's always that line of comfort there.
Oh, this one I did not know about from Mama. There was a man that she had met online who insisted on seeing the house before they could go on a date, as the house would tell him everything he needed to know about her. And then there's a guy who tried to date her one of the first times, like this is before she was even interested in dating. And I'm trying to remember, I think I was still in high school at the time. Mom and I'm trying to remember, I think we were in the clearance section looking around. This guy comes up to me and he's kind of talking to me. Now, he's got, you know, it trimmed up, combed down black hair. But it looks really greasy. So either he put too much product in it to keep it in place, or it was really greasy. He looked like he had worked at the automotive department at Walmart. And
Oh,
he
no.
hadn't changed, and he had a bouquet of flowers with him, which I think he kind of picked up from the produce area. Oh yeah, he had like Coke bottle thick glasses. I forgot about that. And it looks like he just picked up a bouquet of flowers from the other side of the store. Hadn't even paid for them yet. And he starts talking to me and everything. And I'm trying to remember because it was so long ago, but I think he was asking me questions about my mom. Now, I'm a good 20, 30 feet away from my mom, so she doesn't really know exactly what's being said, but he sees this creepy dude talking to me, and she's like, I'm about 2 seconds away from getting my daughter away from you. But then he goes over to my mom and starts talking to her. And I think he was started trying to ask her on a date and everything. And I forget how everything ended, but needless to say, my mom and I got out of there really fast.
Yeah, I hope so. Dating's weird, man. People are weird.
Oh, yeah. Well, and Jackal here says, seeing the house, a valid way to get a feel for the person, yeah, but so is seeing it after the date. And after the date, it's a lot less creepy. Unless the date was already creepy, then you're kind of fucked. All right, do you have another one for us? I think I got about 3. I got about 3 from Reddit that I want to share. The last one's a doozy.
Yeah. I've got my worst story if you guys want to hear that one.
Well, yeah.
This is the most traumatic story. I'm not exaggerating. I'm very traumatized by this.
Oh, I got one that was traumatizing, but I don't think I want to share that one here.
This one it involves Tinder. It was the only time that I ever really utilized Tinder. I was in my mid-20s. I'd say I was maybe 25, maybe 24. It's the only time I ever met up with a man from Tinder, and will never do again because of this reason. But conversations really weren't going anywhere. Like, obviously, a lot of people match with you, and Tinder's not a place to find a relationship. I was just trying to, like, I guess just get some sort of gratification from somebody being attracted to me. So it was just nice to know that there was people that were like, yeah, you're pretty. And I was like, oh, thanks. And then they would go, you want to hang out like right now? And I was like, whoa, we got to talk for a little bit before I try to hang out with you. You could be killing me the second we meet. I got to be safe about this. Anyways, most of the conversations, obviously on Tinder, start off with like, hey, sup, what up, show me your titties.
Yeah, because I mean, when you say Tinder, most people think, well, that and Plenty of Fish, and Tinder more so than Plenty of Fish, that it's just a hookup site. Not for actually finding dates.
It is, for the most part.
Anyway, continue.
So the typical conversations are like, what up, sup, how you doing, you're pretty. Just things that are like vaguely uninteresting and kind of boring to start off with. So this guy I matched with, his name was Vinny. Yes, I'm aware his name is a red flag all on its own. His name was Vinny. And immediately this dude messages me with, you're beautiful. You also look like someone that likes to misbehave.
Giggity.
Now remember, most of the conversations I've been receiving from guys have been like, yo, hey, it's just really boring. So when this came in, I was like, okay, little bit of spice, very forward. This person's forward. They're ballsy. Let me see what's up with this person. Anyways, we talk back and forth, and it becomes painfully clear that this dude is very much into BDSM and very much wanted me to be a sub for him. Now, I don't know much of anything about BDSM, but this guy, he seemed a little sus from what he was into. I won't go into details, but let's just say he was really into inflicting pain.
Oh, so he was a masochist. Got it.
I think, like I said, I don't know too much about like the definitions and stuff, but I feel like maybe he was one of those guys that claims to be into like proper BDSM, but is just somebody that likes to inflict pain. You know what I mean? Like he tries to put it under the guise of BDSM, but it's like it's a weird 50 Shades of Grey situation where it's like not a good reflection of the BDSM community.
Oh yeah, let's not even categorize him in that then.
Right. But that's what he claimed. So I was like, as me being, naive, I was like, oh, I don't know much about BDSM. But you do you, have fun with it. Anyways, we had a good conversation. We were kind of bouncing off each other. His energy was good. So I agreed to meet up with him just for a drink or two. And I told him that that was all I was going to do. That was it. And he was like, that's perfectly fine. We meet up. And we meet up in the city. So it's like walking distance between everything. Now, this guy, I didn't get to see too much of his like facial features in his photos. He did more pictures of like his arms. But he was like a muscular Jared Leto. Not a bad looking Italian. Dark hair, beard. Well, not beard, but scruff. Tall. I'd say he was maybe like, I don't know, it's like 6'2" or something like that. Just like a beefy dude. But right away, I can tell this man is making a little too much direct eye contact with me. I love direct eye contact, don't get me wrong. But I'm talking barely blinking, staring me with the most intense stare I've ever felt in my life. I felt like a gazelle in front of a lion. This man could have been a literal cannibal, and I wouldn't have been surprised given how he was looking at me. It was really like just no talking, would just stare at me for like 5 seconds with saying nothing. And I was like, okay, we want to go get some drinks? You're making me feel uncomfortable.
I need some liquid courage to keep this up.
Right. So I convinced him, I'm like, let's go to the bar, let's get a drink. But after the sus vibes of him staring me down like I was his next meal, I decided not to drink at all. Because, you know, a woman trying to be smart. Instead, I buy him a beer. And why did I buy him a beer? Because in some sort of twisted way, I knew that if I bought him a drink, it would make potentially blue balling him a little less mean. I'm gonna be honest. It's a nice way, so he could be like, all right, well, she left me with blue balls, but I got a free drink out of it.
Destiny has feelings? I didn't know that.
What? Excuse me? How? But yeah, we get the drink. He drinks his beer, we talk. It's a lot of awkward silence moments because this dude just continues to flat out stare me down. We're sitting right beside each other and he's literally like drinking his beer but not taking his eyes off me. So it's no longer a point of like him trying to like dominate me with his gaze. It's more just like, I feel uncomfy. I don't want to be here anymore.
I'm in danger.
I'm in danger. But anyways, he finishes his beer and I'm honestly prepared to just full on Forrest style run back to my car in my heels. And then he goes, listen, I'm sorry if I've been staring you down this entire night. You're just unbelievably beautiful, and I apologize if I've made you uncomfortable. Which really threw me back, because I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
like,
I wouldn't have expected that kind of response, although to me it seems like he's kind of full of shit.
The way he delivered it, though, seemed very genuine. And, like, obviously after me feeling uncomfy for that whole night, that whole situation, I was just like, oh, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I just figured you just like to make eye contact. And he was like, yeah, my point is not to make you feel uncomfortable. You know, I can't help but just look at you. And I was like, oh, kind of flattered. That's nice. So my interest peaked a little bit again, just because he was very honest in that situation. And he acknowledged that he made me feel uncomfortable and said he would stop. Then he asked me if I want to come back to his place. Now, Mel, I'm a weak woman. And you know that there's times when I can be weak. There was an angel and a devil on both of my shoulders. And the angel was saying, yo, this dude is sus. He's staring at you like a Wagyu steak. And the devil side was saying, you have not attended a dick appointment in some time. What's the worst that can happen?
Oh my god. This struggle is real.
So I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I could be murdered for one, you know, as, you know, a repercussion of going with him. But this dude was kind of cute. So, like, I don't know. I think that just ended up winning me over. I was weak. Okay. I'll admit it. We went back to his place. First of all, the house we went into, nightmare. It was apparently under renovation. So there's a lot of just exposed beams. I can't believe I'm telling this. I said I would take this to the grave. A lot of exposed beams, paint cans everywhere. Floors are covered in like the tarp, so that way they don't get like.
I would be getting huge Dexter vibes at this point.
I thought he brought me to like a meth house and was gonna just kill me. I walked into that place and I was like, oh my God. He's like, hey, listen, don't be alarmed. I renovate houses. This is one of the houses we're renovating. I'm staying upstairs. We're renovating the downstairs first. Then I'm going to renovate the upstairs. So, you know, I'm not going to get into the details of everything, but he takes me upstairs. We do our thing. Well, we start doing our thing. Obviously, it was a very passionate 25 minutes that followed. But this man was made it very clear that he was definitely okay. Hold on. Before I say that, before we went to his place, he offered to drive me there, and obviously, as a woman, I was like, "Yeah, no thanks. I'll drive myself. I'll follow you in my car just in case something happens.
Yeah, you need that escape plan.
Let me park the car where we're gonna be in case he murders me, and maybe hide my keys somewhere." But anyways, it was very clear to me when we got upstairs. The mattress was on the floor, by the way. Made it very clear to me that he was very much into inflicting pain. That I can deal with. Little pain's okay, exciting even. But 20 minutes in, this man asked if I would cry.
What?
Like, full on. He was like, "Can you cry for me?" And I was like, "Why?" And I'm telling, this is mid-thrust. I'm telling you, this, like, asking me this midway. Did not ask anything beforehand, asking me in the midst of the passions. "Will you cry for me?" And I just looked up at him and I was like, "No." And anyways, he just...
Yeah, talk about spoiling the mood, like Lady Boner gone.
He finished up while I contemplated if these would be the last moments on Earth for me. Because I was like, is this where... Like, he wanted me to cry. Is this where he goes, "Okay, well, I guess I'm just going to get rid of you then." He could have. Nobody knew I was there. I didn't even tell my friends because I was so embarrassed to be meeting with a guy named Vinny. So, yeah,
oh my God.
Not the best decisions. Anyways, he finished up. He obviously, like most men do, fell right asleep, almost instantly, right afterwards. Rolled over, snoring. And it was then that I collected my clothes, my heels. I didn't even put my heels on. I just held them in my hand and I ran out the door. And I'm so glad I did not let him drive me. He was really trying to drive me there, because had that happened, I would not have been able to. I would have had to walk like a bus or something.
Yeah.
Like, that would be an actual walk of shame. But he continued to message me afterwards and was like, I thought we had a really good experience together. I was like, you asked me to cry. Why would I want to cry?
Right. Well, because for most people who aren't into that kind of thing, like, crying in the middle of that act is like mood ruining.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want it after that.
I don't want to cry while I'm trying to have fun. The point is that.
I mean, I technically do have 2 really bad dating stories. Like, if you're willing to share that, I can probably share mine, but...
is my shame, is it exposing enough?
Giving me some courage. I wish I could drink right now for some liquid courage. Mama, if you are in the chat because you do not know about these, have that Long Island iced tea ready. The shit that you admit later on in life to your parents. Oh my God, here we go. So in chronological order. So this was back when I was still living with Mama. And I went to a friend's birthday party at one of the bars in town. And was flirting, one of his friends was there. We had gone to high school together. But, we didn't really know each other all that well. So we were flirting through the whole night and everything. And he asked me if I want to go back to his place afterwards. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So, I mean, we get it on. And he was fairly drunk. And it lasted maybe 10 minutes. And it was bad and whatever. No big deal. And I can't get to sleep. So, he's passed the fuck out. I got my car here. I'm just going to take my stuff and leave. Well, one of his roommates, so through high school, I was dating a dude. He had a younger brother. And his younger brother's friend would always be over there. We'll call him Bob. Because Bob. I think there is somebody in the channel who might know who he is. So Bob was sitting there and he had been smoking a ton of weed when we first got in. No big deal. And he was drinking on top of it. So I go to sneak out of the room. I had put my shirt and my pants on. I don't have my boots on. I don't have my bra on. And he comes over to me as I'm trying to get my boots on. He's like, "Oh, well, did so and so leave you without enough pleasure? I can give you what you need," and all this other shit. I'm like, no, thank you. I still view you as my ex's little brother friend, and no, I know you're 21 now, but so he wraps his arms completely around me so I can't even move my arms and tries kissing me.
But
And of course I try to pull away, but you know, I move so he doesn't plant it on my lips, but he's still holding me in his arms and I can't move, you know. And being that this is like 3 a.m, I was already sober, you know, but this is the situations where you're like, this is where it is. This is how it happens. This guy is stronger than me. He lifts lumber for a living, and he could totally have me, you know, he could knock me out onto the floor at any minute.
scary.
So I managed to wiggle my hands up between my chest and his, push him with my palm on the lower jaw, and wrench his head backwards. I grab up my boots really fast, run out of the house on adrenaline, get into my car, and drive barefoot back to Mama's house. Don't say a word when I get in, and just go to bed. The next day, I was shaking and crying so bad. My ex and I actually were on good terms at that point, and I called him up. I'm like, I need somebody here. And I'm shaking, I'm crying. I call him over, and you know, he wanted to beat the piss out of him. Well, I guess come to find out, a couple weeks later, he told me that Bob had a humiliating time at that bar a little while later.
Yeah.
He ended up bursting into a bathroom where a woman was going to the bathroom and puked all over her.
Oh,
and got kicked out of the bar for life.
Oh my god.
So karma does happen. Luckily, I wasn't. It ended up not being a very tragic story, but a very, very scary one. And unfortunately, that's not the only time that that's happened.
No, Vinny is probably the only one that I am traumatized by, to be honest. Any other, ever since, now that was when I was like 25. I think when I hit 26 is when I stopped dealing with men's bullshit. So now, if a man treats me in any way that I don't like, I am very vocal about it. And I'm also very physical about it. You touch me, I'm punching the nose.
Right. It's funny what a little bit of time does to personalities.
When you deal with enough bullshit from many men, I'm surprised I'm not a lesbian. I'm gonna be really honest. Like, I view women as like art, and then men, it's like, yeah, you know, I'll bang that and then, you know, go to the next one. Women are so much different. For me though, it's just like I can't get away from the men. I don't know why. They're just so cute. I love them.
You like what you like.
Scary. It's some of those, like, I could have died. I went into a house where the beams were exposed. It might as well have been like a crack house, and then I would have just been thrown into the whole the ring, the prostitution ring thing that they have going on.
As soon as I see beams and everything, I'm thinking Dexter, and I'm thinking, get me the fuck out of there.
I was reckless.
The other one, because so when that story happened to me, I was probably like 23, 24 at the time. The next one that happened was just a couple years later. I was already living in a different city. I had moved out for my first job, you know, in this little 1-bedroom house by myself, and you know, got on I think it was OkCupid, and met a guy. So we met for coffee. I went down to Madison for the weekend, and my brother Tulio was living there at the time, so I just crashed on his floor, and I figured I could go to the the medieval combat practice the next day in that town because I knew a bunch of people there. And so I went on this date.
Hold on. Did you call me a nerd earlier for going to a cosplay convention?
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
Just throwing that out there.
I'm not trying to deny it though. I'm not trying to deny it. I am proud of the fact that I used to do it. It's also the reason my back is so fucked up, but we're not talking about that. So anyway, so I meet this guy for coffee, and everything is going really good. We hit it off well. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong. Invites me back to his place for a couple of drinks. So we stop by the liquor store, pick up like a 6-pack of Mike's. Nothing, no hard alcohol. And well, he puts on like a Pearl Jam concert or something to watch, and I'm like, boring. you know, and I wasn't expecting anything to happen that night, and I really kind of didn't want it to either. So after I had one, like, I could have still driven home. I know my alcohol tolerance, you know, if I have one over a 2-hour period, I'm okay. You know, and that's all I had. But I still decided that, hey, yeah, he invited me just to rest there because it was getting late. And I'm like, okay, but I put the rules down first, like, nothing is happening tonight. Sleeping, that's all we're going to do. You know, if you want to cuddle a little bit, okay, but don't be getting handsy. I don't want that. Yet. Maybe after another date or something, yeah. But I mean, this is already after several bad incidents with dating. Like, I didn't want it just to land there and be done. Because I had a couple of other dates, which are minor stories, nothing too eventful, where that's, you know, we met up and that's immediately what they wanted to do. No dinner, no movie, no talking to get to know each other. They just immediately wanted to go into that. And I was done with it. Like, I wanted an actual relationship. And so you're not getting any on the first date.
Right.
So he agrees. I'm like, okay. So I do one of the moves that I learned how to do while camping, where you take your bra off while your shirt's still on. Because, I mean, I'm not going to sleep in a bra, but I'm going to sleep with my shirt on. You know, I took my pants off, but I left my panties on. And so I'm just laying there trying to get to sleep, and he starts getting handsy. I tell him 3 times no. And each time he would stop for like a minute. And on the 4th time, he actually tried to climb on top of me and start kissing me. I shove him off and do the run of shame out to my car. But I forgot my glasses there, so I had to go back the next day for my glasses. So I took, for anybody who knows Tulio, he is about a 6'5", 6'6" if he stands up straight, broad, lumberjack built kind of man. I took him with me for backup, and I was honest, and I told him what happened. But yeah, guys, anybody here listening, guys and girls, because it happens to both genders, consent is key. You do not have that consent, you better not fucking touch. Because nowadays, if I find out that happened to somebody that I know, somebody's getting the piss beat out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is very scary. I can't speak for men, but for women, it is a very scary situation to be in, because physically, we're not always stronger, and we can't always fight them off, no matter how hard you try.
But man, I'm gonna try.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna get a broken nose in there or something.
Well, when in the middle of high school, and you know, when I was entering the serious dating age, my aunt told me, if something were to ever happen, you kick, you scream, you claw, you go for the nuts, you do everything. But yeah, exactly, Cookie. You respect the no. Drunkenness is never an excuse for being for going past that, but wow, Myth, shut the fuck up. But yeah, consent is definitely key, and I never ever want to be in those situations again. And unfortunately, I know it still happens on a daily basis, but I don't want anybody to ever be in that kind of situation, because it's scary. It makes for really bad dating stories, and it also sets you up to be very fearful of dating. You'll hide the bodies, Gnome? Awesome. All right, Destiny, we have our hookup.
Yay! I've been looking for a place to hide the bodies.
It just reminds me of that spoof, Will You Help Me Hide a Body? Instead of Will You Help Me Build a Snowman? I know, I love it. All right,
but
so
yeah.
Huh?
That's all. Those are the 3 stories I have. Like I said, I have very many, but those are the 3 that came to mind first.
These are penalties of caught? Ooh. Yeah, but how would we get the body over there, Cookie? That's the question.
Launch it out of a cannon and hope it makes it over the ocean.
Good luck.
Super cannon.
You might even get a discount. Oh, wow. I mean, we have a lot of Amish places around here, Sholin. We can probably hide you here. All right. Well, we do have one other recent submission, and he did put his name there, so we can say it. So this is from Dave in chat. He put in a last-minute submission for us. Now, I haven't read this out before, so if I do stumble over it a bit, I do apologize. So he says that the only embarrassing moment he can think of when dating is pretty silly. But we like silly. That's okay. Mm-hmm. So he started dating a slightly older lady from his workplace at one time. She invited him to her house to hang out, watch some films, get to know each other. I mean, typical date stuff. So he got himself ready, and you know, the way he was raised, you know, you don't go empty-handed. Now, I was kind of raised that way too. Have a little something if you're going over to somebody's place. So he went ahead and bought a small bouquet of flowers to take to her. When he turned up at the door, her daughter and her daughter's friend were the ones to answered, and he was hella embarrassed standing there holding some flowers. She did think it was cute though. That's sweet though.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the dating scene is like anymore. I haven't dated in over like a decade, but like showing up with flowers, I don't think that's something that the guys these days do much anymore.
No.
Unless they're like super serious about it.
Chivalry is like not really there anymore. I mean, and I get it. Not that I get it, not that I support non-chivalrous things, but like for one thing, for me, I don't expect a man to pay for my dinners. Whereas it used to be very common for a man to pay for the dinners. I'm like, typically either I will pay for myself or I'll pay for the whole meal, because it's almost like a thing where I'm like, I'm going to dust my hands clean. So there's no, hey, I paid for your meal, now you owe me. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and that's because, back in the day, the women didn't work as commonly as men do. And then after that, there was a huge wage gaps and everything in the 60s and 70s. It's still there today, not quite as bad, but it exists. But, if we talk about chivalry in the terms of what chivalry actually was back then, it was to get the knights to stop raping all the women. But the glorified chivalry from the 1900s, that was, opening the doors for the ladies, always taking the seat out for them at the restaurant. It also includes making sure that the man, is between the woman and the street, so that when you're walking, you are shielding her from the cars, not just splashes of water, but, crazy motorists and everything. So you're protecting her.
Not me walking in the middle of the street on purpose. Hit me.
It says the chick that promises an ice cream date for following her on Twitch. Destiny, did you really do that?
Yes, I want to go on dates with everybody.
Will you go on a date with me?
100%. I'll be there in about, it takes me 25 hours to drive that way? Something like that.
Yeah, and it depends on if you try to go through Canada or not. But I mean, well, from where you're at, you'd probably come up through Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd swing the other way for you on that date.
There we go.
I'd
You hear it here, guys. It's going to be Melstony. It's a new ship. Don't tell Ferret.
Oh, yeah, I'd go on a date with Keji, too. Keji said she'd go on with me. I'd totally do that. I mean, there is that whole age gap, Gadgy, but yeah, you can catgasm at that. I'd go on one.
She's got the foreign blood, so it's like super spicy.
I know she's got. We haven't Americanized her enough yet, so I mean, I can really go for the accent.
Mythal film it for science.
Hey, as long as we get to make some money out of it, I'm okay. But no, just little simple acts. Because I mean, you remember our last podcast when we had Rudy on here? We actually got onto this topic for a little bit. Because I guess some of the women he's gone on a date with actually got mad at him for doing the things like opening a door for them. Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's just like, and he asked both of us like how we kind of felt about it. Like, so Destiny, if let's say you go out on a date and the guy at the restaurant pulls a chair out for you to sit down, would you be offended or would you be flattered?
I would be surprised, first of all, because I don't think anybody's ever pulled out my seat. But I would be very flattered, to be honest.
I would too, because I mean, some of these hardcore feminists now are just like, well, that you're trying to downgrade me and everything else, and that's not really the case. To me, it's more of showing respect. Because just the same way as, if a guy offers his arm for walking, I mean, it's not that you need him to hold you up or anything, but you putting your hand in his arm like that is showing him that, you're trusting him enough.
That's triggering because I had an ex that did not want me showing any public,
no PDA?
At all. Yeah, nothing. He didn't even want to, hold hands. He didn't want to stand too close to each other. It was almost like he was ashamed. I don't want to get into that. But still, yeah, no, it's really nice when you do the whole arms thing. Or if he just, he does the whole walk on the side of the street and keeps you safe kind of thing. I had one guy that would face the door of a restaurant we were in. My dad did that. My dad would always, when we would go out to eat, he would face the opening or the entrance door of the restaurant in the event that somebody came in to try to hurt people. And he obviously he'd have his conceal license or whatever. to carry.
Mhm.
So in the event somebody came in, he would be able to protect. But things like that it's really nice. You don't see it too often.
No, it doesn't. I mean, Myth makes a point here that now it's sexist. I can't wait until my teeth are fixed. We're almost there, guys. But now it's sexist and toxic masculinity. Now, I disagree with anybody who says that and is serious about it. Now, I don't think Myth is being serious about it. But for anybody who does feel that that's the truth, I am going to heavily disagree because
Grow up.
while we are trying to move from like the day-to-day routine as far as like women can do construction work and they can do fixes around their house with the plumbing and whatever, you know. And it's not the woman's always inside and doing the feminist jobs while the man does the man's work, you know, or, you know, even holding open a door for a person. They're not, I don't feel like men are trying to downgrade women. They are trying to be polite and be respectful, and women have their own ways of showing that as well. You know, and it's not toxic masculinity. I don't think a guy would ever sit there and think that I'm opening the door for you because you're not capable of it. No, that's not it. It's showing a sign of respect. So men, advice for you. If you ever start dating a woman who thinks that holding a door open for them is toxic masculinity, get the fuck out of that date right then and there.
Leave.
Women, do me a favor, never act that way because it's fucking stupid. If somebody's showing you respect, show them respect. You know, they don't think that you're incapable of it because what else do you do when you're out on a day-to-day routine of running errands or going to work? You're opening a door for yourself. Obviously, you're capable. But don't take it into the far right field. Come on. All right, that's my soapbox. I'm off. But Keji says that she's normally the one to hold the door open for the guy. Definitely see that one. Sholin says when he was 18, she was 35. She outranked me. Sneaking into her barracks room at night. Anyway, they had a spat. She drove him crazy. He tore the skin off of his knuckles punching a mattress, sat down, wrote her a letter. She reads the letter and punches a brick wall, breaks her hand in 3 places. Oh, God. Oh, wow. Yeah, Cookie, you just got crazy fucking people around you. That's what you have. Oh, but Myth has been on the receiving end of some raging women. Yeah, like, women, please, for the love of God, never act that way. There is no reason to ever act that way.
Those kind of women make me feel icky.
Well, they do, because, I mean, people who have seen me on my little soapboxes before about equal rights for women, like, yeah, we want, in a matriarchal society, we just want to be on equal footing with the guy, seen with the same amount of respect, being, for the most part, able to do the same jobs as men. Like, I know not every woman can sit there doing a construction job, but there are plenty of women who do. I'm also not going to go so far as it for the shoe to go on the other foot like it is for a patriarchal society where the women are always putting the men down. Like, no, I don't like that either.
Mm-hmm.
Equal respect for both genders. And the other genders that are out there too now. Respect for everybody. How's that? That simplifies it.
Yes.
Respect for everybody.
Respect all around.
All right. Well, that concludes my stories, yours, and our submissions. There is one from Reddit that we can go through. I had a couple, but this last one really takes the cake. Oh my God. I mean, talk about bad first dates. Like, this is something that you would see on like a movie or a TV show.
I'm ready.
All right. So Tara Lorne is the person who posted this on Reddit, and this was posted about 3 years ago. And she specifies that this happened to my cousin, not me. And I will tell this story till I die. Her and I lived together at the time. She worked at a tanning salon. She mentions this guy named Vaughn. Can you say it? Vaughn?
Vaughn?
V as in Victor? I can't.
Yeah.
It's the one of the few letters I can't say. Anyway, so he started coming in on a regular basis. He's really hot and always flirts with her. So I guess 2 weeks back and forth of flirting, Vaughn actually asks her out on a date. So she comes home, gets all prettied up. I wish her luck and tell her, please call me if she decides to stay over so I know she's okay. You know, cousin, you know, a few years younger than me, and I have no clue who this guy is anyway. He has a big dog. Yeah, that's the word I'm trying to say, Dave. It's a little difficult these days. So, and I'm just reading this off the post, so obviously it's not me I'm talking about. It's the Tara Lorne who posted it. So she ends up calling me about 5 hours later, hysterical, bawling her eyes out. I can't understand a word she's saying. All I can make out is, I'm at the hospital. My car is at blah, blah, blah address. Please go get it, then come pick me up. So my boyfriend and I go get her car. We drop it off at my house, and my boyfriend decides to pick up a couple of buddies along his way because it sounds like someone needed an ass kicking. We had no idea what was going on. When we get to the hospital, and she's outside shivering, Amanda's standing near her, but not beside her. He looks worried, and she looks like hell. She jumps in the car and just screams, "Just drive!" Me, being mad as fuck, say to the guy, "Are you Vaughn?" And he looks like he's going to cry at any second. He says, "Yes, please don't be mad. I brought her here. I had to. She didn't want me to. Please let me explain." My cousin is in absolute hysterics at this point, punching the back of my seat, saying, "Please go." And I said, "I don't have time to listen to you. She wants to go home. I need to take care of her." We drive home. I keep asking what the fuck happened. Please tell me now. Did he hurt you? Do we need to call the cops? Her response is no. Nothing like that. I'll tell you at home, not in front of the other people. So I left it at that, dying inside to know. When I get home, I tuck her in bed, give her some tea, try to calm her down. Every time she starts explaining, she buries her face and cries. I finally get it out of her. So this is where it gets good. After she left our house, she met him at his house. They talked and had coffee, and he asked what she would like to do. She suggested a movie, so he said, "Okay, let's go to Blockbuster." They go to Blockbuster, and that's where it all starts. They pick their movie, and they head to the cashier. She said she doesn't feel good and remembers waking up on the floor. Vaughn told her that she had passed out and hit her head pretty hard on the counter, and he was begging her to go to the hospital right then and there. She says, "No, I'll be fine. Let's just go watch the movie." So he agrees. They go back to his place, and he keeps asking her if she's all right. If she would please change her mind and go to the hospital. She says no over and over, and she says she doesn't remember falling asleep, but guess that's what happened because suddenly she wakes up urgently needing to shit and vomit. I guess you can see where this is going.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. She says she had no idea what the layout of this guy's house was. She scrambles to the floor feeling dizzy again. Starts crawling literally, asking where the washroom is. He tries to pick her up to take her, but she said she couldn't hold back. Ends up throwing up all over his floor, all over him, and shits her pants.
Oh no.
And that's not even the end of it. So I'm thinking here, it's not mentioned in here, but it's pretty much implied she's got a nasty concussion. You know, and I've had a concussion before too, not one where I ended up falling asleep, so, which mine was like the lesser form. Hers is pretty mild, you know, to make her want to fall asleep like that. So after she shit her pants, she starts crying. She said he was so concerned he didn't even care. He just took her to the washroom to finish. While they make it to the bathroom, she says she pulls her pants down, doesn't make it to the toilet in time, and shits like a parrot all over the walls.
Oh my god. No.
He gently closes the door and says, "Pass me your clothes. He may have something for her to wear."
Oh my gosh.
So she agrees.
Guy's a trooper.
Oh my god, he really is. Like, he's not even caring about the embarrassing moment. He's just wanting to make sure she's okay and take care of her and everything. Like, this guy earns mega kudo points.
Yo, this
and
man
I'm getting the best mental image too. Like, this is why I said this could be in a movie or something, because the whole spraying the walls.
The whole parrot description gets me.
I know, right? But she agreed to the clothes swap, so she does. And after she stopped throwing up and shitting, she finally agreed to go to the hospital. So he takes her, and shortly after that is when she got the phone call. And while she's telling me this, I'm laughing so hard, crying, rubbing her head, wondering if this is all of a joke. But no, because those two ended up getting married, and they bring it up once a year around the family.
Oh.
It is a romantic comedy, Cookie, because, I mean, they ended up getting married even after all of that. And, like, the guy deserves it, because, like, he's sitting there trying to make sure she's okay, even from the Blockbuster store.
That's a hero.
It is a major hero. You know, because you want to talk about bad dates. I mean, that's definitely a romantic comedy value right there.
I tell you what, I bet you Vinny wouldn't have done any of that.
Nope, probably not.
I will never date a man named Vinny ever again.
I think is Italian mafia at that point.
Oh, I'm sure there was some sort of ties somewhere.
Oh, could have been. Gnome says he deserves a lot of cookies. Not Vinny, but the other guy in that story.
No, Vinny deserves jail time.
Yeah, Vinny does. Like, ugh.
It's not mean.
But I'd pulled 2 other stories from Reddit, but they are not as good as that one, and I prefer to end on that high note.
I think we covered a good amount of weird horror stories.
Yeah. So our next podcast in 2 weeks happens to land on Halloween. Yay! Spoopy time. So Destiny will not be here for our Halloween podcast, but the show will go on.
Adri.
Destiny might be lurking in the chat though.
Mm-hmm.
So because it is landing directly on Halloween, it is a perfect time to go over the history of Halloween in other countries, because like we asked Rudy on the last podcast too if they really celebrate Halloween, and they don't. Halloween, the way it's celebrated in America, is really an American thing. Destiny's cheating on you guys? Well, deal with it. Destiny can only have her attention here, you know, on so many people at once.
To do work stuff and make money and do things that's actually going to make me live.
Wait, people do that?
What? I don't have a sugar daddy? Sadri.
Yeah, I mean, Cookie, if you guys want to DM me what the Swedish version is, but there are multiple different countries, like, so how they used to call America the melting pot of cultures and everything, especially during the height of the immigration. That's how we ended up getting the Halloween that America knows today. We're going to go over that, how it ended up, and even how, like, even after all the cultures and everything started coming together to create Halloween, the way it was like in the 50s, it's even evolved in America from the 50s until now. Because Halloween in America wasn't always the same way as we see it today. And it's pretty interesting. Well, no, in Australia, you just end up melting from the heat. But that's not going to take up our whole time, so we're going to have plenty of time for scary stories, guys. I would like to know your opinion now. We can set up another suggestion box like this if you'd like. Or if you want to DM me some scary stories that you have had, because I have one super scary story. No, 2, actually. 2 scary stories. But I'd love to hear from you guys. You can either DM me, or if you would prefer an anonymous suggestion box, we can set that up too. But we can also tell some scary stories that you guys have had from your personal experiences, or maybe somebody that you knew. I would love to be able to share them on our next podcast. And I know it's Destiny's favorite holiday, so unfortunately, you'll be there with us in spirit.
Yes.
Like, for some people, it's Christmas. For Destiny, it's Halloween.
Halloween is my Christmas.
It is your Christmas? Have you watched The Nightmare Before Christmas yet?
Not yet, but I will be watching that from now until Christmas.
I believe it.
And singing it around the house.
Hey, they have some good freaking songs in there.
La 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 la.
Yeah, hey, do you like the Korn edition of that one?
Korn?
Korn has their own version of that song, I believe.
I think I've heard a Marilyn Manson version, but not Korn.
Or maybe I'm getting them mixed up.
Probably Manson.
I could have sworn it was Korn, but I could be wrong.
I'm gonna go look though. That would be interesting.
Do it.
I do.
Well,
like
no,
Korn.
because remember when Ferret on GTA was doing the Santa spinoff last year?
Mhm.
You know, to save the puppies of Los Santos. I thought he had that on his playlist. That's before the DCMA ban hammer started coming down again.
Blech.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, pretty much no. And it's going to be stuck in my head. So after this, I'm going to have to go watch that. But anyway, guys, I think this is where we are going to wrap it up. Thank you for sharing your stories with us today. I do appreciate it. And for those of you who have gone through a story like that before, just know you are not alone. We all have our own. But thank you again. We will be back in 2 weeks on Halloween with our next podcast. And we do have our next topic picked out for the 2 weeks after that. We are actually going to celebrate teachers. Honestly, I know there's a lot of underrated jobs in this country, but teachers to me is one. It's a topic that is close to my heart. Being that my sister is the 4th generation teacher in my family, we are hoping to have special guests of Sofa and Tequila, who are currently teachers.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. Tax told me that she already has like 2 stories picked out for us, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, definitely.
But in the meantime, everybody, take care. Have a wonderful 2 weeks till we see you again on the podcast.
Good evening.
Until then, folks, take care. And remember, if you're ever having a date and it goes badly, put it on Reddit. You'll get lots of comments.
Exactly. If it's anything you've learned, it's that.